3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And as always, we are extremely blessed and we feel highly favored because you've chosen to sit with us for a moment, whether you're gardening, driving around, doing whatever. I have no idea what y'all doing. Hopefully about this time of year, you're out there doing some Christmas shopping. Not too much. And by Christmas shopping, I mean sitting on your couch, going to Amazon and saying, drop it right here.
Did you do that?
Not telling.
Okay, Scrooge. You did not. I just know for a fact. So
anyway.
Practice what you preach. Oh, that was a song. Barry White by the album.
Wow. See how she just come at me like that?
I'm
Look.
Just saying.
See, okay, so as you guys know, this is her favorite time of year, so everybody is Scrooge compared to her. I'm just saying. Okay,
that's not really fair. Not everyone is Scrooge. It's just that, okay, so our typical holiday season begins with, as soon as after Thanksgiving is over, the weekend, we decorate the house. I say we, but I decorate the house. Lovey will help with the tree a bit because he puts the top portion on because I can't reach it. Mind you, this tree is huge. It's way bigger than me. He's like, well, he walking around with this little Thanos cup trying to snap his fingers to make us disappear or
I've done
whatever.
That several times. It doesn't work, y'all, just so you know. Just because you have the cup, when you snap your fingers,
we multiply. We multiply. We like baby's kids. We don't die. We multiply.
Oh, God.
So what you hear in the background is a little bit of a voice. We got some guests with us today.
Yay!
So as part of our couple spotlight for the month of December, we have invited none other than Tirrell and Courtney Muhammad to come on to this show. How are you two doing?
Man, we are fantastic, and it is such an honor and pleasure to join you guys in the month of December, because this is actually Courtney's favorite month of the year as well. And so to be amongst greatness,
absolutely.
Today we are just fab tab. And first, I just want to say shout out to my mom because. Mom, we made it on Married into Crazy.
Put your shout outs in.
Oh, that's hilarious. No one has ever done that.
That's funny.
Hey man. You know what? I just want to say, hey mom, how you doing? The boys made it. No.
Man, it's such an honor, to be on a platform that is honoring couples and married, to be, I remember when you guys first started this, and it's just wonderful to see greatness grow into greatness and excellence. And so thank you guys for continuing to do what you do and to work in your authenticity. So thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you both.
Thank you for saying that. That's really sweet. When you start something out, you don't know where it's going to go, and just kind of navigating through the discouragement for myself. I tell people all the time, this is Lovey, because I promise if it was not for Lovey, I think Married and Crazy would have lasted for 2 months, because I was like, I'm done. I can't. Okay, so.
It's a team effort. As a matter of fact, speaking of a team effort, we're going to ask everyone right now to participate in this team effort, and that is hit pause, go to social media, reach out to your friends, your family, and say, oh, my God, Tirrell and Courtney are on the Married and Crazy show. Y'all need to go download right now.
Bring them in.
That's right. Bring them in. Be like that, like Jay-Z. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in.
You're going to get all the goods today. Bring them in.
Bring them up.
Okay,
Okay.
it is bring them up, but I'm
Okay.
saying Courtney and I are saying, look,
Okay, I'll just
that's the
okay.
Ernie and Courtney remix.
Right.
Okay. I'm just saying classify it as that because I don't want nobody trying to go in on you. We already saw what happened at the airport. I don't
Well, they
want to
got to
go
keep
off.
up. Y'all
so.
got to keep up with the remix. Hey, so no, seriously, go out there and go to Apple Podcasts, go to wherever you're listening to us right now, and take a screenshot, send it out on your social media to other people, and say, hey, y'all need to check this out. This is the Christmas edition couple spotlight with the Mohammeds and Snooks and Lovey. So get out there, let your friends know. Tell your mama, tell your auntie, tell your cousin, tell everybody to jump on because this is going to get hot.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
Amen. So,
Of
first
course,
and foremost,
of course, they don't act a fool on here. I said, I promise. But I said,
I knew he would though.
but I said, look, Ernie, I said, we're on the podcast with Ernie. So he only knows how to do it one way. And I'm just following.
He can't help himself.
Yeah, I'm just following their leadership. So,
hey, let's
all right, guys, what do you want to talk about today?
everything. Let's get controversial. Let's do it all.
Okay.
Let's do it all. Look,
We're
there's
ready,
this,
we're ready.
there's this meme that I'm going to put out shortly where it was like last night I wanted to actually play with Snook's hair when we were in bed, but I got sad because it was on the dresser. And
hey, don't worry about that because Courtney was just talking about how hers have been shipped and she's still waiting for hers
It
to come
hasn't even
in.
arrived yet. I'm still waiting.
So I was like, well, wait a minute. This is kind of getting like,
You gotta be versatile. You gotta mix it up, like Ernie said earlier.
You feel me?
I don't know about you, but I didn't know how very organized and systematic this is because we were watching something the other day and she was like, such and such got on a wig. I was like, man,
he doesn't recognize.
how do y'all be catching that? Because it be looking so authentic. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that sometimes you don't.
Is funny.
Sometimes you don't know what you have is what you have until what you got is what it is.
all right, hey,
So let me just say this. So I think we all watched Living Single, that show Living Single.
mhm.
Okay, I'm Regine. Regine had a different hairstyle every other week or whatever. I have no shame in anything. If they go, is that your hair? Is it on my head? Whether it's sewn in, whether I braided it in, whether it's a twist or it's just my natural hair.
I
I
paid for
own it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can change my look up. I mean, and those that have followed us on the podcast, some days I have big barrel curls. Some days my hair is just in a ponytail. Whatever it is, it's how I want it to be. Look, I already told you I got the DJ Quick look going on right now because I took my hair down and I was like, ooh, I didn't have time to really get to it. So we just gonna put this up in a ponytail, put the hat on. I'm like, oh, that's good. Let's go. Let's
I'm a
go.
light-skinned Carl. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that I think people don't realize that we should live in our authenticity, right? Whatever that may be, and we should reserve the right to be able to be that who we want to be and be able to be as reserved as we want to be. So if I want to rock my big time glasses, then that's who I'm going to be for the day.
Right.
If I don't, I can go into my reserve mode. And just by you seeing my glasses, look, I am reserved
He's
at
confident.
this moment.
Amen.
Right? It's living our mission and our passion in life. And I think our mates are supposed to help us and we're supposed to help them
Yes.
get out of our own way.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's why we get pushed. That's why we get corrected. I mean, Ernie, I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago. That I told you that. No, I was telling Joe that Court had made me rethink the priorities. It's the constant corrections that sometimes we have to live by in order to meet our true values and principles in life.
I love that. I love that. So, we have a whole host of questions we're going to throw at you, but what I'd like to find out right now is you had mentioned, okay, so couples, Courtney gave you a prompting to reevaluate your priorities, right? To switch some stuff up. How long have you two been married?
So we have been married a very long time. and,
We'll see if he knows.
So yeah. Okay. So I say that to say because we've been together almost 21 years. So over 20 years is where I stopped counting. But the reason why I say that is because we got into our relationship where things were just kind of all over the place. I had just gotten out of a marriage.
Okay.
So this is, yes, my second marriage, but my first one was kind of a learning experience. So how we met was really, I think, non-conventional because we met in a way that it wasn't anticipated or not supposed to happen. So let me back up a little bit. The way that we met is through a friend of ours.
Well, I don't know if you guys want the truth of how we met or you want Tirrell to tell the story.
No, we're always going to come to you so you can tell the truth. Go ahead, Tirrell, finish.
We'll let him roll.
So the way that we actually met was a friend of ours, and I'm going to reserve some of the names on
to
the
protect the innocent.
Yeah, to protect some of the innocent
that aren't innocent.
We'll come back to that at another date. So a friend of mine called me one day and he said, "Hey T, where are you?" And this is like a Friday night after work. Was it after work or something like that?
Yeah,
okay, so this is like after work and so forth. And he was like, "T, where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm at the Paragon." Was that the Paragon?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just validating because she knows the actual location.
Exactly.
Right? And so I said, "Oh, I'm at the Paragon. Come on up." He was like, "Great. I'm coming up, but I have two girls with me." I said, "Two?" I said, "Great. Come on up." Because I'm sitting at a table full of colleagues, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, they were all women. Continue on.
Okay. I can't help if all of the work colleagues were women. They
go ahead. Continue your story.
They were professionals. So he's like, "Okay, great." So he comes up and they're up there probably for about 45 minutes before they acknowledged that they were in the room. And so the friend of mine came over and he's like, "Hey T, we're in the corner. So, whenever you finish, just come on over." And I looked over and it was these two women. I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "All right, ladies, I'm out of here." So I leave them to go hang out with the friend of mine who technically we were just hanging out. Now, mind you, Courtney didn't know at the time that she was supposed to be connected or hook up with a friend of ours who actually went out on another date.
Because my friend had only told me I was going to meet him. Everything that she had told me was always about Tirrell. She never told me about the other guy.
So he used my resume, but was going to connect her with our other friend who happened to go out on another day. And again, we're not going to use names because this wouldn't be good for their existing relationship, and they would have, well, they probably wouldn't care now. So yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Okay, so yeah. So anyway, So technically she was supposed to go out on another date with a friend of mine that actually faked, went out on another date. I came in as a backup. And to this day, that friend, and you know, the old rumor is I was the backup, and I'm still the backup to this day. So the backup wins because I roughed it out for a year and some change in order to, because I wasn't ready for a relationship, number one. Mm-hmm. And number two, we really kind of grew into a friendship and a relationship before we actually kind of hooked up, because plus she was living in LA and she was going back and forth, and that's kind of a gradual takeover, because okay, all right. So
what we normally do at this point is just like during the political season, we call them the fact checkers.
Oh.
So let me bring in our fact checker right now. Courtney, can you hear me? Courtney, are you there?
I'm here.
Validate the accuracy of the report that we just received.
There was some little accuracy to that. My friend did tell me I was coming out of a bad relationship. And so my friend was like, you know what? There's a guy that I'm dating that has a really good friend. He's in real estate. He just got divorced. I think you should meet him. He's just your type. Everything that she told me was about Tirrell. And so we did go out that night. And she was like, oh, I hear they're up at the Paragon. She was like, let's hook up with my dude and let's go up there and see what's going on.
My dude.
So they never ever told me about any other guy that I was supposed to meet up with that night. I only ever knew about Tirrell.
Yeah. Now, did you find out later on?
No, I never found out later on your story to be true, but I do believe from getting to know everybody that it could be true because the other two guys were closer than him and Tirrell.
Yes. Now they were actually very, very close, very close. Yeah. They were like BFFs.
So if he was going to hook anybody up with anybody, he probably would have went to his boy first.
Hands down.
Before Tirrell.
Hands down, right?
So now, that part is true.
Now, did he?
Okay, I'm fact checking right now.
Now, did he say later on? Okay. So I'm just
They're trying to get to the truth now.
I'm just valid your truth or the truth.
The truth.
So he did eventually confirm at a later date, but her friend did use my resume in order for her to connect up with the other guy. Now that's a cold game. That's a cold piece of work. Ain't that something?
But it worked.
That's a cold piece of work.
And what was meant to be.
Exactly.
See, there's two things that come out of that. First off, it is a cold piece of work, but it's the story that's as old as Shakespeare, as in Cyrano de Bergerac, as in somebody was hiding in the bushes, talking about somebody else's resume, and trying to get the hookup. And when you talk about being the backup, you're in good company. Because last time I checked, Tom Brady was a backup, and now the greatest of all time.
Yeah, greatest of all time. I'm still here, baby. I'm still here. I'm still here. We didn't weather through the storms. You know what I'm saying? Now, what's interesting is when we got together, I think were you still dating too?
Yeah, we were still dating other people.
Yeah, we were still dating other people and so forth. And so we still had friends.
We still have friends. We were friends.
Yeah. So we still have friends, that we were still dating and going out on. But what's interesting, how Courtney, I think, was different to me was her ability to be intentional on what she wanted, right? And here's what I meant by that. She would come down from LA and hang out with me and stay with me sometimes. And all of a sudden, one time she was down in Southern California and I was going through my drawers. I realized she had a drawer. Now,
I needed to keep some stuff local too.
I feel you. I feel you. Right.
she didn't ask Ernie. She didn't say, "Hey, do you have a spot where I can keep my stuff?" She took out a prime real estate location in my drawer and made it all her clothes. I'm like, where in the world did these come from?
That's what's up. That is what's. As a matter of fact, that leads me to this.
So funny.
I want to find. I was checking up to see if I can find a resume on you.
Background. No.
It says Vice President of Business Development, Team World Builders.
Yes.
Team World Builders.
Who is the president?
That would be me.
Yeah.
Right. So you were president of. I'm gonna, allocate that drawer in this gentleman's residence. He can co-sign on this drawer, but I'm gonna go ahead and take this drawer just so he knows.
Yeah.
It's the laws of attraction. You got to be intentional.
Now let's talk about that, because I think that's what really helped us really kind of connect and allowed us to really grow to and from one another. And that was, I think we both have the ability on a small level to be like, okay, we kind of know what we want. And we just need to kind of get clear on what our principles and values were, because I kind of knew what I wanted. I just wasn't there. And she helped me kind of develop what that is and what that looks like, because getting into a relationship, as you already know, takes time. It takes understanding one another. The one thing that we kind of got out of the gate is that we wanted to just be great and be the best version of ourselves. We weren't competing with each other. It was just, look, here's what I'm doing, and I would love for you to come for the ride. And she was like, okay, yep, I'm coming, but I'm going to have my own ride as well. So I said, look, I'm world building. And she was like, okay, I don't know what that is. I hear you say it all the time. And
absolutely.
But she didn't really understand the concept. And to be frankly, I didn't really understand the concept either.
He just liked it. It just sounded great.
It just sounded cool. It sounded relevant. And it was just something that me and some of my other friends just started doing. Now, in turn, what that was all we were saying is, look, I just want to be the best version of myself. I don't know what word I am. I'm not trying to save nobody. I just want to be the best very version of myself. Mm-hmm. Knowing that about her, knowing she knowing that about me, it allowed us to uncover and unravel where we were going. So some of the things that I was doing, I had to start making sacrifices if I wanted to be in a relationship. She had to start making sacrifices if she wanted to be in a relationship. And so we both latched on to this mantra by which we say, hey, that's just world building.
That's just world building. Yeah.
Challenges. That's just world building.
It gets you through the tough times.
It gets you and us through our tough times. Sometimes I may be moping for a day. I may be moping for a week. It's not that long nowadays.
Yeah, he doesn't last too long now.
But if I was to go into a cave she would be like, "Oh, you tripping.
We can't do that for long.
You need to knuckle up and be like, get up out of this cave." And, you know, that's where we start learning one another, because that's where environment starts to take place, the sacrifices that we just talked about. I realized who I was running with may not be the people I'm going to run with in the future. That is a heavy, tough decision. It's not that you cut people off. It just means that maybe certain people is not good for your development.
Right.
Maybe certain people that Courtney is running with is still good friends, but it's not who we are going to run with. Now, when we got together, I was good. I thought things were like amazing. And sometimes in life, you think you're amazing, but you're not humble in your development. So when I thought I was high on my success and in my development, this is when the crash started to begin. So I'm high, she's coming into my life, I'm starting to make some sacrifices, and the entire world is falling apart around me. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that at the point of my success in real estate, where I'm hiring my cousins and friends to work with me, I am in a fall financially. I'm getting in lawsuits. I'm getting in debt. And I'm like, oh, I think I better go in the cave and go to the mountains. Because Ernie, what's the best way for you to think? We all got our places, Snooks, that help us think. And I realized that I don't need to be in a relationship. And I told Court, look, I said, this ship is sinking. You better jump off. Now, not many people know this story, so I'm telling you guys something that
he doesn't share,
that I don't share with a lot of people. I told Court, you may want to get off of this ship. Because I am falling very, very, very deep. And I remember the location. We were like in South San Francisco, and we were by the water. I would go there by myself because I needed to create systems and models, Ernie, for my life that was different from the life by which I was living. So I was making a lot of money. A lot of money.
But was not mentally prepared for it.
Was not mentally prepared for it because we were still partying. We were still around environments that was sacrificing my true values and principles in life. So I told Court, I said, Court, get off. I was urging you to get off because this ride is not going to be fun.
Let me interject, because I have a question for you. At what point, where were you at in your relationship? Like, how many years had you been together, or months, or how long were you together at that point when you said you need to get off this ride?
Maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Married or just?
We were still dating at the time. We weren't even living together.
Yeah. We weren't even really living together. We weren't married.
Yeah.
We were still in that I love you phase, but the committed phase. And I know this is a road that I want to go down, but I ain't got in a few months, I'm not going to have a pot to piss in. So, like, I'm giving you the life jacket to get off. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, I can see what's coming. And in her mind, she was like, well, I can't speak for you, but
I was like, no.
No, she was like, no.
Oh,
we're going to ride this out.
No, we're going to ride this out. And she didn't ask a whole lot of questions. Over the months, she was like, okay, what is this? What's happening? What's going? Because the fall was coming. We were starting a new airlines. The real estate business was good, but then it started to fall because my project management skill was not up to where it needed to be to run and deal with two businesses, deal with real estate projects, deal with people that was around me. It just wasn't good. And so as the fall began, where I was losing millions of dollars, Court eventually was like, dang, maybe I should have jumped off this ship.
Talk about that, Courtney. Courtney, what was your mindset when all this was happening?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was it that you saw in Tirrell that made you say, no, I want to stick around, especially since you weren't married yet?
When we first got together, I was very young. I was 21 years old. The amount of relationships that I had prior to him was very low. And when I met him, he treated me on a level that was better than anyone had ever treated me, and the man that he was, the man that he showed me, the conversations that we had was deeper than what he was going through. What he didn't mention is he had just gotten out of his marriage because of infidelity. His wife cheated on him. So that was something that really weighed on my heart, and really was something that I thought about when going into a relationship with him, that I wouldn't get into this relationship if I couldn't be serious about it and be committed to what I'm getting into. So yes, at the time that he came to us, we weren't married, but we were very serious, and we were long enough in it that I was serious about him, and I was committed to seeing him grow because I seen the man that he was inside. That's why.
Hey, I promise you, I saw her as a good girl, and I didn't want to take her through what was about to take place. And so in reality, I wanted to just cut her. I actually wanted to just cut her off, to be very, very honest, so that she wouldn't have to go through the ringer of the stress of financial difficulties that I knew was coming. The sacrifices that I was going to have to make and cut off a lot of people. And so some of my friends or peers thought that I cut them off, kind of haphazardly, when really I protected a lot of people. But I knew that I was big enough to handle the financial stress. I knew I was big enough to handle the financial recalibration that it was going to take, and whoever was going to be around me would benefit in some form or fashion.
But I will say what did take place because of that is we moved in together a little bit after that. He asked me to move in with him. And he did cut off a lot of people. I cut off a lot of people. And we honed in our circle so tight that it was able to make us so close because we were spending so much time together. We were building things together at this point to help buffer the fall that was going on. So because of that, it actually made us a lot closer than we probably would have gotten really, really fast.
And again, sacrifice. What are the things that we have to do to look in the mirror to be the best version of myself? I started drinking. I started being like, I had to cope. Like I didn't do drugs, but I was a drinker. I could hold the liquor.
He comes from a family of drinkers, so he has to be very mindful of excess.
Got you.
Yeah. And now the good thing about Court is she can come at you and really kind of put a mirror to your face without beating you up too bad. And so I remember coming home one time where I was so drunk. I left the windows down, the car unlocked, and I was throwing up that night, Ernie. And she was like, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah, that was one where I was like, you know what? Maybe I am in over my head. Okay, let's have a talk. The next morning when he sobered up, that is.
Right.
Now, the one thing she is very good at is communicating her authenticity. And that's one thing that I have had to develop in myself is, look, I know where we're going, but sometimes when you have a dream, you also need to live in reality. And sometimes we just need to have a mission or a mantra by which we're living by. Yes, we're world building, but we need to take into consideration, we need to rebuild ourselves back up in some form of fashion. It's kind of like that Rocky thing, right? You got to start back in the mountains because you don't know yourself anymore. And that is a tough place when you no longer know who you are and who you're looking to be and become. And it's where we get lost sometimes in life. And we have to go back to our mission, our mantra, and we have to determine that this is the most authentic space in who we want to be and become. And we have to reverse engineer what that is and where it's going to take us moving forward. I didn't say it was going to be easy. But it is going to be simple because we're not going to complex it out in a way. So Court came to me and was like, look, you need to make some changes and some decisions if I'm going to be around. And I'm like, Ernie, what you talking about? What you talking about?
Like Jerry Coleman.
Yeah. What you talking about?
You bring up some really interesting points that I think show up in a lot of relationships that I will say a lot of sustainable relationships. Two things that you mentioned one thing over and over again, but you modeled and talked about modeling something else, which was you mentioned sacrifice multiple times.
Yes.
But then you also, when you were talking about your relationship with Courtney, first off, you checking with her, you trying to cut her off because you wanted to protect her. And then her being able to hold up that mirror without really hitting you over the head. That's accountability.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, Lovey think he's slick. I wrote this down, accountability, because I was going to address that.
Go
Stop
ahead.
looking at my papers.
I'm giving you the alley-oop, girl.
That's not the alley. You just took all the points right there. I'm sitting here looking like I was wide open, bruh. What's up?
It's alley-oop. Look, I'm magic. I'm coming down. I'm tossing it up for you. It's up to you to slam it.
Anyway, no, kind of just piggybacking on what Levy said. I heard a lot of accountability with you two. And people do not, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how important that is to be able to say, okay, like you said, Courtney gives you that mirror but she's not badgering you or beating you over your head. She's letting you see, bruh, this is what's up. You know, this is full transparency. I'm telling you, or we need to come to some type of understanding about what's going on, what's going to be accepted, what's not going to be accepted, and not deviating from any of that. Also, another thing that you guys talked about is the cutting off of people, and a lot of people have problems with that. Maybe because we phrase it like cutting off, but there's one thing: no, not everyone belongs in your front row. You know, you don't all get to come to the. We don't all get to eat at the big kids table. Let's just put it that way. Some of y'all need to be at the children's table, or maybe even in the backyard. You know,
Right.
when we get together, we are at a certain age. Lovey and I were 27 when we met, and it's like there were people that were in our lives that were pretty prominent, but as soon as we started syncing up, their roles pretty much kind of diminished. Not everyone, but some of their roles diminished, and it's in knowing who is going to be of value to you and who is going to be of hindrance to you, and be able to weed and sort them out. That's important. A lot of people don't even, they just think, oh, well, that's my boy. What you trying to, and I always pick on the guys, of course. I don't say, oh, that's my girl, but that's my boy, oh, we hanging out. What you talking about? Or whatever it is. But if they're not of value to where you want to go and what it is that you say you want to do, then sorry,
It's the truth. We talk about that all the time, that iron tribe, building an iron tribe, because we always go back to Proverbs 27:17. It's as iron sharpens iron. You hear that all the time, but we always say as iron sharpens iron, we as couples
should be sharpening each other.
Amen. And that's, and just let me just get a little plug real quick. That's why we created the Iron Tribe marriage community on Facebook. So we have like this open platform where we invite individuals that are married, that are aspiring to be married, that are looking to, jump back in the pool if they were divorced, but where we can actually talk about that. It's about surrounding yourselves with the right individuals.
That's right.
And you spoke to that at an early age. Courtney was 21. Tirrell, how old were you?
Tirrell is 9 years older than me.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Where it is in the year.
Where is that in the year? So you can see that there was an age gap when we met. However, she was so mature in her development that it really was capturing to my eyes, because to be really frank, I didn't date women who were younger than me most of the time. It was very rare. She knew that. And I kept asking her how old she was, and she would never tell me. She wouldn't tell me for weeks. I had to check ID at some point.
Yeah, because mind you, I looked 16 when we met. So he was a little concerned.
She looked like she was 28 because she was makeup up.
Stop.
She had, all these showing clothes. You know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Capturing clothes, but again, her parents did a fabulous job with her in terms of her development. And the one thing that I learned from my family is, if you want to understand your spouse, look at their parents. So I studied her parents as we over the years in terms of who they were, because I knew that that's the person that I would have to understand as she grew and developed, because that's going to come with some experiences. What do I mean by that? For example, she don't mind getting into projects. That is a branch off of her mom. She don't mind being alone and being to herself. That is a branch of her father and her brother. They love isolation.
You just love our quiet time.
They just love it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't understand that in the beginning. Her brother I was like, cool, I'm gonna be your bruh. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got a brother right here. He like, bruh, I ain't with all that.
Back up, Holmes. Back up.
I would call him and the phone would go straight to voicemail.
You're a little hard to get close to.
I was like, Corey, he won't even take my calls. Hey.
But he loves him. You know, that's just the way we love.
Right.
I realized, Ernie, in the 5 love languages, I realized in understanding the disc that people are who they are. And sometimes when you know who they are, you can honor and respect them in who they are. You don't need to push them in that direction. We just need to know who we are so that we can inspire our spouse, our family, and others in whichever direction they want to go. But I didn't know that in the beginning, so I've had to develop and listen to her as a spouse, as a husband, as a family man. Now let's back up a little bit, because you were talking about people and friends and all this other stuff. We've come to develop strategies on how we go about putting people into our circle. There are friends that were friends of hers in the past, friends of mine in the past. We have couple friends, right? So when we have couple lunches, couple dinners, COVID kind of took us off a little bit and we're kind of getting back to that.
Yeah.
But we have what's called intentionality. There are some of my friends that values and principles are never going to change. That's just who they are. They are crazy as hell. And I love them for it. But that doesn't mean that
They're coming over the house.
they're coming over the house on a routine basis so that we have a crazy and hell lifestyle. But there are some of my inner circle, they're welcome anytime because they're family. And sometimes in life, we got crazy family. Hell, I'm crazy. Some of them will call
crazy family.
Some of them will call me crazy. Right? So when we can understand, I think as a couple and relationship, we're operating from a mission by which we live. We live by world building. That is who we live by. Because life is going to happen. She's going to have to recalibrate. I'm going to have to recalibrate. But when we recalibrate, we're recalibrating on a mission and a purpose by which we stand on. If friends and family come into our life, they have to be filtered through our mission.
Right.
If you out there doing crazy stuff, you probably don't want to hear about our morning routine. You probably don't want to hear about us talking about our evening routine. Because we have a mission, we're striving to be the best version of ourselves. That don't mean we don't get crazy and, fall off from time to time more often than not. But when we recalibrate, we have the ability to jump back on the bandwagon and the model of our life operating principles. We can make that up to whatever it needs to be. But if you say you have a mission and I'm looking at your activities that are not congruent, then Ernie, I don't know if you're living to the standard by which you say you live.
Right.
Literally, almost everything happens by us having a purpose, a mission in life. When we go out, we don't just go out to go out. There are some places that I would love to be, and they may be fun. But here comes the logical thinker. Hey, yes. Sometimes it's, hey, is that aligning up with our mission? Is that no? And sometimes I think she's a leader in question, or if she already knows the answer to it. I don't, sometimes I think it's the latter. But sometimes I think she's asking the questions for clarity and purpose. So I better have a pretty good answer on why I'm participating in something. Because it's helping with the business, it's helping with growth and development, whatever. But it better be a connection so that it's leading into the future, or it's sacrificing the past.
So I'm sorry. Okay, so I feel like we just kind of jump right into the podcast, asking questions and stuff. We never ever said, I mean, we said this is Tirrell and Courtney, but we never said what it is that they do. We just heard about airlines and millions and real estate. So like,
I know some folks are like,
we might have to back
are
it up.
they?
Who are these guys?
These guys are amazing. I don't know what they do, but I want to
Exactly.
follow them.
I just thought, I was like, wait, we never really said what it
for it.
is that they do. I just did, babe. Did
Okay,
I not
well-
do,
well,
did I not do it right?
You do a lot. So
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do? I mean, you talk about world building. What does that look like? I mentioned that, you're the VP, Courtney's the president of TMG.
Yes. And so we run a real estate company. There's variations in the real estate company because we are a corporation. And so anywhere from sales to developments and so forth, that is us. We also run a consulting organization.
We World Build.
Yeah. We World Build. Okay. And that basically is a consulting company that deals with executive leadership development. Because we realize in order to run a multi-million-dollar company, in order to build multi-million-dollar companies, you have to have the right infrastructure in place. And so for us, as we're building, that is kind of our heart, is where we started off at. It's where we lost at. So we know how to build and we know how to lose.
It's important.
Oh, that is very important, because now your risk tolerance, your models of life actually is built around your tolerance level. Your values and principles are built around your tolerance. Your business relationship by which we go into business with is built around our values and principles. Just because a product or service is good don't mean necessarily it's good for us.
Right.
We want to know technically, what are your values and principles before we go jumping into bed or a project with you? Because we've learned when the ship is going down, that if people don't have values and principles, they're going to jump ship, and the ship is going to sink even faster.
That is so true. That's so true. You know, you're talking, and there's been a lot of emphasis on the business aspect of your relationship. Does that ever is the line blurred between business and marriage? Because your business partners, your life partners, how do you delineate between the two? Do you ever find time to just be Tirrell and
It's
Courtney?
just the hardest part of our relationship. That's all.
Yeah.
It's finding the balance, is outlining the roles and responsibilities so we're not overstepping each other, is staying focused on what each other's strengths are so that we maximize that.
Now, this is the point of the question is, can we take a break, or is this going to be edited, or is this no break?
No break. We're going to keep going.
Okay. No, I was asking because I need to use the restroom.
Oh. I can edit that out. Hold on just a second. All right, we're back. We took a little bit of a studio break.
And we're back.
Snooks needed that coffee because she was getting all amped up. And I was like, for some people it gets you amped up, other people it brings them down a little bit. She was about to chin check me and everything.
Lovey was being mean to me, y'all, in the morning. He was like, come on. He kept texting, hurry up. I was like, can I get, no. I was like, okay.
No, but you know, your story is amazing. And as we kind of talked a little bit off air, it's nice to come together with other couples, because by bringing couples to our audience, it's not just our vantage point. We love to hear other people's vantage points, but I want to go beyond the story a little bit, beyond your background, and pepper you with a few questions that we like to just throw out every now and then.
Well, I kind of, I mean, you asked the question about working together and coming apart, or trying to stay focused. Do you guys is there difficulty with the lines actually blurring? Like, do you have a hard cutoff? You work together, so 8 to 5 you're business partners. From 5:01 to whenever, are you just Court and Tirrell, sorry. Is that how you, or is it kind of interwoven where you just kind of, oh, you know what, baby, 6:00, we forgot to do XYZ for work? Do you talk about work stuff after hours, or how does that work?
We work 24 hours a day. And that was the fine line that was very difficult for us. And it was extremely difficult in the beginning because he felt like us spending time together was quality time. So we'd be working together all day. And then I'd be like, oh, let's go out on a date. And he's like, I've been with you all day. And I'm like, none of that count. So we have worked very hard to figure out some balance. And we do make time to actually take date days now that we will actually take off and dedicate just to us. And we usually don't let clients find out about that because they'll try and interrupt it. So we sneak them in during the middle of the week here and there.
So no, she's absolutely right. I love to work. So that is just me. She has come to love work, and I respect that and love her about that, because we will be in the bed and she will bring up stuff from work in bed. I'm like, oh, Jesus, help us. Now, here's where we had to learn to communicate, right? And she's right. I've had to learn to listen, because in the beginning, I thought that our return on time was based around being around each other. And when we were working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, that I was getting in some us time. And so when she wanted to do extra, I was like, well, we just spent 8 hours together. Why you on one? And she was like, excuse me, that was not quality time.
None of that count.
That's right.
I said, well, what's quality time to you? Because that was good for me.
That's your question right there, folks.
I feel pretty good. My cup runneth over.
Yeah.
And she explained to me that is not quality time for me.
Mm.
That is where I had to listen, adjust, and sacrifice. This is not quality time. It is just, it's giving us a return on time so that we can have more of our time. That is when we started investing more understanding of relationship building.
Mhm.
That's where we start reading the 5 love language
Yeah.
and books
Yeah.
that was helping us understand one another as well as know ourselves a little better. So the 5 love languages, right? If you read the book, you understand something of the principles. I realized that her love language was quality time.
Mhm.
She realized my love language was
Acts of service.
acts of service and affirmations.
Yeah.
So before I would clean the house and so forth, and I'd be like, look, I just took care of you. You
It means
own,
nothing to me.
you own one.
You cleaning did nothing for me.
I don't know. Maybe it's wrong. Whatever. A lot of stuff on your mind because you acting out. I just cleaned the entire house. Did you not get that love? Now, vice versa. When she cook or when she cleans the house or we're both neat freaks.
Yeah.
So we have a standard by which we love to live. So when she's not doing those things, I'm like,
He doesn't feel loved if I'm not if I'm not cleaning the house, he doesn't feel the love.
I'm like, you own one. We're not seeing eye to eye right now.
I'm not complimenting him. He doesn't feel love.
Now, so we realize there are certain things that we do that complements one another. Now, that don't mean that's now my love language.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It just means that, okay, this is her love language. So I need to chill, not be on my phone.
Not be on the phone.
And I need to just watch a comical romance movie that she wants to watch.
You know, these are phenomenal. You know, at first, what I'm going to do is, that's a book. One of the questions I was going to ask was if you could recommend a book that you thought was crucial. And Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman keeps coming up. So I'll put a link to that book in the show notes so everyone can go.
Yeah. That's number one, because I think for us, it helped us. It's easier to read. It's easy to understand the way that we sometimes live our lives. And it's easy to understand how we communicate. Once we got a 101 course in relationship understanding, we were at least able to cut out some of the medial things that keep coming up. And sometimes there are things that we do that just come up that can be resolved just by understanding one another's nature, habits, rituals, and routines. I said, look, or maybe she said, I don't know. One of us said, look, we need to meet.
Probably me.
We need to meet and kind of stay on the same page. So we would have weekly personal meetings.
Well, here's the thing. We don't fight. We don't argue, and that's kind of why people look at our relationship and they think it's wonderful all the time and things like that. Because we really don't.
Yeah.
But when you don't, that means somebody's always compromising, because we're not the same person. So if you're not arguing, somebody is always compromising who they are. So in the past, we've let things build up. And then we have a big argument, and we'd have like a big fight, like once a year, just like really a big blowout. But
she has thrown glasses wine glasses at me. I was like,
he's
ooh.
so extra.
Stop.
That is not true.
I was like, ooh.
He's so extra. That is not true.
I said, I didn't know she could go there. I was like, ooh, you need to stop and reassess what just happened here.
Look, it could have been the wine bottle. Be glad it was only the glasses.
Fact checker.
Yeah. Okay. Studio's telling me that we need to bring the fact checker back in.
The fact checker on that one.
No, she's right. There are certain times throughout the year that we may have more of a blowout than throughout the year because we don't have blowouts. We have miscommunications, or she has a view. I figure which one we go to war with or not.
And that's what it is. We really pick and choose our battles. So on the regular basis, we don't. But what really has helped us is what he's saying is we've started having couple meetings, and we do that twice a month, and we do it coming into it non-judgmental.
We used to do it weekly.
Yeah, we come in very open, because you're going to listen to their feedback. You're not going to be argumentative and ready to start a fight. You're just going to sit here and you're going to receive what they're saying to you. And it's really helped us out tremendously because we take that time and we are so open with one another that our communication is so much better overall.
Now, I used to sweat every single week.
You get nervous for the meeting.
She would have laundry lists of things that she wanted to talk about. I'm like, this seems like this is like a time where we just beating down on me. I don't like this.
I always say it takes me back to that Dave Chappelle series. He's like, why is it every time we got to talk about something, it's about something I did?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be the weekly meetings that we were having in the beginning.
But you've gotten so much better.
Right, exactly. Those help, right?
You trained him well.
Then I realized, okay, look, since we're going to have the meetings, I'm going to have to start winning. I'm going to have to start having some wins of my own. So after a while, you kind of recalibrate yourself. And I'm like, look, Tease, stop tripping. She's bringing things to your attention. You're on the same page. We're on the same team, as she always tells me.
I keep telling him.
We're world building. So listen and recalibrate and make the sacrifice of things that doesn't go against your personal values and principles. So that took a lot in the beginning, because then I started to adjust, sacrifice, and realizing that we're on the same team.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now I can come to the table and tell you, look, I don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
This makes me feel like this. And she would come back and be like, yeah, but this is right. Right, and how we feel can be different.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to sacrifice right from how she feel and come to a meeting of the minds to be like, well, this is how she feels. I'm going to adjust the recalibration of the approach.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to adjust right if it's true.
It's right. Mm-hmm.
But maybe my approach needs to be a little different because she's a high S. I'm a high D.
He's a really high D. Oh, everybody won't know what that means.
So, yeah, y'all may want to touch on what that
Exactly.
is in terms of understanding human personalities. But when we understand one another, we can understand and communicate better, because when I'm in my driver, nobody is going to get in my way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to understand when I'm going to take that stance and I'm going to live and die by my mission and purpose.
Right.
But he needs me because he comes up with all the grand ideas that he needs someone to actually put steps to. So he needs the systems. So he has to still bring the D down a little bit and come talk to me. So we can make this actually work.
Yeah. So that's where the LOPs and the SOPs have to merge with one another so that we don't overstack our project management. It's not that she don't have projects, not that I don't have project managements. It's that we don't overstack our projects so that it doesn't create anxiety and stress for her.
Yeah.
It doesn't create anxiety and stress for us or the team. So we're learning, and I say we're learning because we're still growing.
Absolutely.
Into being better, being the best versions of ourselves so that we can communicate better and express one another without offending one another in truth, but also keeping it into consideration our emotions so that when our emotional barometer is not intact, we can respectfully make adjustments as needed to hear one another and deal with each other stuff along the way.
See, and that's beautiful. And there were some acronyms you threw out there, and I just want to make sure that our audience understands. Tirrell mentioned LOPs and SOPs. That's life operating procedures and standard operating procedures. So what's the difference between the two?
So in SOPs, which many of us, if we're business owners and operators, we have standard operating procedures that help us maximize efficiencies. It becomes systems when there's breakdowns. Well, since that is in business, we also have the same thing in life. Mm-hmm. Many of us don't realize that we have our own personal LOPs by which we grew up on, by which we grew up around social peers or our education. These become our edition, fourth edition, fifth edition, but these become our additions to our life operating principles. It's who and what we are. If you don't like the version of yourself, look at you. Ernie, we talk about this a lot. It's like we should be waking up in a thematic way. And if you're not waking up in a life by which you don't like, well, guess what? You have the ability to change it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Courtney will wake up doing her devotions. Mm-hmm. That is her life. That is a portion of her life operating principle.
When I'm on my morning routine.
When she's on her morning routine. I didn't say it was perfect. I didn't say it was easy. When I go and do my 5 a.m. workout with the Breakfast Club, that is part of my life operating principle morning routine. Right? Sometimes Courtney will wake up to Beyonce. Whatever gets us clicking, mm-hmm. We have to tap into that in a way where we're now knowing each other, mastering each other in some form of fashion. That way I can push her, she can push me, because we have a mission. We have a team purpose, a family purpose. Now I can say, now my LOPs are somewhat intact. We have a mutual mantra, world building. Mm-hmm. We have a personal mantra. Mm-hmm. so that when my emotional barometer tanks and I'm ready to go in the cave, I can just say, hey, I am happy, healthy, wealthy, focused, disciplined, and enthusiastic. Am I always enthusiastic throughout the day? Some people will tell you yes, but I am absolutely not. I'm cool with being in the back. I'm cool relaxing. But sometimes I need to be the driver on what we are doing. And that is not a fun thing when you're running and being a business owner and operator, because everything is coming at you. So we have to find our life operating principles that is connected to our mission and our mantra in life, whatever that is. And we always say Muhammad Ali has one of the best ones and the shortest ones. I am the greatest. So when he needed to show up in the ring, I am the greatest. When he was out advocating for the people, I am the greatest. He said it so much that we started to believe him.
That's right.
He is the greatest. He is the greatest. Right? Our subconscious mind don't know the difference when we have a mission and a mantra, and that trickles down into our LOPs, to answer your question on the shorter version.
That was the short version? Okay.
That was great.
That was the short version.
Real quick, I know Snooks has another question she wants to ask, but I want to say that you talked about mantras. You talked about saying something like, I am the greatest. And this podcast is centered around becoming the greatest couple you can possibly be, through either couples like yourself that we bring to them, or tidbits that we've gone through, things that we've learned at different conferences, what have you. We try and share that. How would you, Courtney, I'm going to get your short version. How would you coach a couple to come up with a mantra for themselves, for their relationship, so that way they can become the greatest version of themselves as a couple?
Great question. And I actually am going to relate it back to, we came up with our own couple prayer that we do every morning together. We were doing universal prayers together, and we said, we wanted something a little more personalized. So we looked at attributes that we want in our life, and we started writing down what's important to us first. And then we started putting it together into an actual prayer that we do together every single morning. So I would say definitely focus on what you want in your relationship, even if that's not where it is right now. What do you want in your relationship? And put those words down, and then you can start putting it together.
Oh, that's good.
That's dope. I like that.
That's good.
That's good. And
okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And it's funny because when she says, when we say our prayer, right? When we say our mantra, it really is a prayer. Mm-hmm. We are praying to be what she just said, and that is a better version of ourselves, even if we're falling way below. And trust me, in that prayer, I was like way below. But we've said our prayer so much, it feels so authentic to us in the morning. So when we're ready to go, we say our prayer together. It helps. It helps recalibrate. So if you had a temporary issue or argument, it's kind of hard to be mad when you just
when you're praying together.
When you're saying a prayer together. Oh Lord, please help us overcome any temporary challenges or issues that we may have. Boy, them words come a lot deeper. Oh, grant us, God. Grant us success that we may have the patience.
So he's a preacher over here.
Right? Hey, and then it's like, yep. Then you're like, oh, I just talk to God. I gotta.
Okay.
Now you have to kiss. Now you have to kiss me goodbye in a
Yeah.
nice way.
Yeah. And then we kiss and then we hug.
Yeah.
And sometimes the hug, sometimes you give me the shoulder.
I do that pat. Yeah.
Sometimes, right? And I think when you are looking to be the version, even if you are crazy, right? Because we're married into crazy. It helps us put routines that perfects us.
Yes.
And we have to identify those activities. Like yesterday, we had a temporary challenge on an issue. And it was a temporary challenge or issue. Okay, good. So okay, so that had an energy that wasn't cool. Court said, look, I know we had a little challenge. Let's play a game. Okay, cool. I'm down for a game, a chess game. So I think I got to pick the game. So we played chess. We were able to talk out what the temporary issue was, help to make better changes in the future to communicate better on that issue. And then we had the game to break the ice. Right? That is an activity.
To change up the energy that's behind it.
Boom.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that a lot. We're gonna have to adopt that.
Yeah.
The game, just like that. No,
What are you talking
it
about?
might be 8:00 at night arguing about the kids. I'm like, nope. You know what?
Get the game.
Go get the game.
Yeah.
We're gonna play
The
some
game.
right now.
We finna play Uno.
It used to be a time where we were getting a fight, and that fight would last 3, 5, 7 days.
I don't think so.
It was pretty.
Never not no 7 days.
Okay. It felt like it to me.
Yeah. 2 days feel like 7 to him.
But
I cut him off and stop talking. It feel like a long time.
that or I would go into my cave.
Yeah.
So we were both okay with shutting down. We don't shut down as long as that by which we used to. And I think the reason for that is because we've implemented strategies and systems that help us recover. Are we perfect? No, of course not. But we do implement systems that help us recover faster, that helps us get back into the mission and the purpose by which we are looking to be and become.
This is good.
I think that what you guys said earlier too is so key when you talked about the part that you don't argue, and a lot of couples may look at you and be like, oh, we want to be like them because they don't argue. But it's that whole avoidance kind of thing. You avoid so many things or you push stuff to the side. We were like that in the beginning of our first 4 years of our marriage. We didn't argue. We just kind of, okay, we'll just push it to the side or put it on the back burner. Or I felt like I was always giving in, or he may have felt like he was always giving in or whatever. And it just became this big mounting to, I'm just like, I just can't do it anymore. We're not addressing anything. I didn't even say that, verbalize it, but it's so important that we learn how to communicate and learn how to address. And it's even okay if we don't, if we argue, we're communicating as long as we're coming back together, we're turning towards each other, and I'm not saying what I got to say, and because I could do my neck and all that, and then turn this way, I'm not turning away from him. A lot of times that happens because of all of the mounting frustrations that we have. Now I'm just mad, I'm blowing up, now I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
Yeah.
learn how to work through your issues together, your challenges. I love how you guys came up with your own prayer. We pray every morning. And it's so funny because on some mornings when we, because I'm rushing or I got to get out, he has to get out. He'd be in the car, he'd be like, wait, he'll call me, babe, we didn't even pray today. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, now I'm all off or whatever. So he's like, okay, we're sending a quick prayer in traffic. I'm like, okay, let's do it, you know.
Good.
But
Yeah.
Good.
that just reinforcing our togetherness, our the temple, God, us together, that energy that we have, it's so important. And I would I highly recommend everyone comes up with their own mantra. If you don't want to call it a prayer, have a mantra, a couple's mantra, a couple's prayer.
Yeah.
Something that only the two of you have. It's exclusive to us, It's not just the universal, Lord, please don't let me kill my kids today or whatever like that. But it's something that's exclusive to the two of you, and it makes it more, it's special,
Yeah.
because you got your own little thing going on.
Well, and it creates a standard. It creates a standard by which you, me, us live by. Because if we have a family creed by which you live by which I live by, I'm not worried about Courtney when she's hanging out with her girls.
That's right.
Mhm.
Because I have ingrained in her subconscious mind activities, her thought process. She has ingrained in my mind
Right.
a mantra, a mission, a thought process that helps us minimize tragedy. Because it only takes one major tragedy to change the trajectory
That's right.
Absolutely.
of our life.
Mhm.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
And events, right? So I agree 100% with you. If you don't have one, you should create one and let it evolve, because ours have evolved. Ours sometimes change in our personal mantra and allows us to kind of work through whatever chapter of life that we're in, but we're on the same page and we're able to have activities that helps us recalibrate. Now, I'll give you one last thing on that. I told you that we have our personal meetings
Mhm.
that is now every 2 weeks. And these are stuff that maybe come up. This is stuff that maybe, we talk about that just needs, and she may have a list. Maybe she don't. List is not as long as it used to be, that's for sure.
That's growth.
But now she also has the authority to call an audible.
Here you go.
And that audible is, look, when your emotional barometer in that says that you need to come and have a conversation with me, she don't have to wait until we have our meeting. At the same time, we can't talk about something when we're high on emotional stress.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line between calling that audible and having a conversation where we're both emotional in an emotional distress.
Yeah.
So that audible is, okay, look, when the emotions have come down, you can come to me or I can come to you and talk about and mostly it's her coming to me most of the time, that I know that when she comes into my office, hey, we need to talk. I'm like, uh-oh. Here's an audible.
Another one coming.
This can't wait until
Nope.
I'll be looking to see, okay, can we wait till the personal meeting?
Nope.
And she's like, no, I need to call an audible. Okay. I've granted her that audible. She's granted me that audible where that we can be open with each other and receive constructive criticism at that time.
Nice.
It It ain't that we're throwing each other under the bus.
Right.
It is, here's how I'm feeling, and it's making me feel right.
That's right.
That way we can recalibrate faster and get back on the wheel of our mission and our mantra that we're on.
That's right. So, okay, I want to ask one last question. As you know, we are married into crazy, and we know that crazy is an acronym: compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. So, for the two of you, short answer, and answer the question: which one is the hardest and the easiest to do? Being compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. The hardest and the easiest.
Probably accountable, really being accountable to another human being, making sure that your actions are always reflecting not only yourself, but what's right for your relationship. So just taking that extra time to think out the things before you just do or say them, I think is difficult, but it becomes easy when, like you said, you have your principles behind you.
She knows that once you state a goal out there,
you're accountable.
Girl, you're accountable. Hey, and that's what I always say. Whatever you say, be careful, because we are going to live the best version of our life in some form or fashion. And so, yeah, that's probably one of our most difficult ones, because I believe that we're destined to be great in life. And I believe sometimes when we have to make that change, that it requires accountability in the house, with each other. And, you see each other falls. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's hard because we're attempting to live a perfect life. And so for us, I'm definitely with her on that, because we are looking to be our greatest versions of ourselves. And sometimes that takes a lot of falls.
Yep. Well, which one is the easiest for you out of compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding?
For me, it's easy to be compassionate. It just comes natural for me. It's harder for me to be hard on somebody than to sympathize and understand what they're going through and try and give them words of advice.
Yeah.
That's just natural.
Oh, she's totally right about that on her. I am Zell. I'm like, the hell with them. I'm like, why are you giving them an inch? Let's drive the hell out of them. That's me. So I am the zealous one among us, because I'm looking to drive, I'm looking to succeed, I'm looking to jump off the curb, she's looking to catch me. I'm like that little child that's like, yeah, all over the place. I am Zell. But don't come near any one of our friends and family, because we will drive into you. We will drive you. If you say you want to be great, then don't come to us and tell us your goals, because we will drive you into
greatness,
into your greatness. And
I can attest to that. Don't tell Tirrell you're gonna do something. And then try and falter down the road, because he will not. He's like an elephant. He will not forget. But you said, now these are your words.
This is your goal.
Or I'll just say, Ernie, what's your mantra?
Out the blue, right? I'm compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding man after the heart of God and my wife, with my daily interactions as a husband, a father, a colleague, and a friend. That I know that like that. Because of that zealousness, when he would be like, "Oh, so what's your mantra?" Like, oh, wait, let me get my paper. I wrote it somewhere.
How can you not be great when you're constantly reminding yourself of I am happy, healthy, wealthy, focused, disciplined, and enthusiastic. So you can show up without showing out. You can be humble in your greatness. You don't need to impress. We don't need to impress anybody but ourselves. And that's where Courtney sometimes is like, look, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm with you on that. I don't want to hurt it either, but they need to hear this.
That's the beauty in being around, surrounding yourselves with couples like Tirrell and Courtney, because you're going to get, the truth. You're going to get honesty. You're going to get transparency, and you're going to get the opportunity to at least witness a model by which you can find your own personal truth as a couple as well. We're so thankful that you guys made time for us today, and for all the couples and the people that are out there aspiring to become married. I think there's a lot of nuggets in what you shared today. How can our audience support you? Where are you at on social media? What can they do? Can they follow you? Is there any projects that they can support that you need a groundswell of people to get behind you? I mean, let them know. And also, so I can put it in the show notes, like how people can really get behind Tirrell and Courtney.
Absolutely. Well, you can just go to weworldbuild.com. All of the information is there, our contact information. We have our personal social platforms, Courtney Augustin and Tirrell Muhammad on the FB platforms, but weworldbuild.com is where you can find us for business opportunities and alliances.
Absolutely.
I love that. Once again, hey, thank you so much for making time.
Yeah.
Because we know you're out there building the world. And you know what? And for all the millions that you talked about with the airlines and the businesses.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We do have one last question. Question of the month, babe.
Oh. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so with this being, we're still in our holiday season. If you could spend Christmas anywhere, where would it be? That was it.
For me, it'd probably be home.
Well, I would say if it wasn't during the COVID environment, I would say Paris. It's one place that I still want to take Court.
Yeah. I plan on getting over to.
Going there, but Court is sensitive to the COVID environment. So I'm respectful of that. And so the best place that we could be right now is probably home. And we just gonna ride that out for a little bit until we have a better environment.
Right.
But it does free up, and we're like in holiday spirit. We will very likely be in Paris.
That's where you'll catch us.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Catch us.
I like that. And what you'll be able to do, all of you listeners, what you'll be able to do is go to the December question of the month and be able to answer it yourself. I'll have a link in the show notes, but you can also go to marriedintocrazy.com, and you can go to the tab that says monthly question, and you can leave your voice response. So that way you have the opportunity to hear your voice on the podcast as well for answering that question. If you could be anywhere in the world and celebrate Christmas, where would it be and why?
With no restrictions, because like you said, because we know COVID is here, but if there was no restrictions, where would you be? Where would you be?
Me?
Yeah, where would we be?
Ooh, that's a great question. You know what? I would love, I've said this before, that I would love to have one of those tropical Christmases. I know that there's certain parts of the world outside of North America that people go to. I know people that go to Hawaii during this time of year because it's like the best time. I'd love to go to a tropical place and see the palm trees lit up like Christmas trees and stuff like that. Just to go do something a little different. What about you?
It's so funny. I don't like the cold, but I want to go somewhere where, those Thomas Kincaid pictures with all the snow and it's just so beautiful. I want to go somewhere like that. not be outside, but I just want to see
I
it
want to
because
see it.
it's just cold and I just can't. But it's so beautiful and it's so pretty. So I want to do something like that. I want to go somewhere like that.
That's good. That's good. Hey, we want to thank you
Thank you guys
guys
so much.
for having a platform of this magnitude, a safe place where people can come and just be themselves and be able to allow people to grow even through their success and failures, right? And it's an honor to be with you guys, and it's just such a pleasure. And we're just not a part of your show, but we're a fan. And we've watched several, you know what I'm saying? So it's nice to continue learning because we consider ourselves to be students of this married thing that we call life. And we're just looking to be better and better alongside you guys as well. So thank you for having us today.
Thank you very much.
That was nice. Thank you guys for saying that. Yeah.
Hey, like we always say at the end of every podcast, until the next time,
Be blessed.
bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.